is redefining its place on the global stage, and this speech from Prime Minister Mark Carney is a masterclass in leadership. At a time of rising authoritarianism and economic turbulence, Canada is doubling down on partnerships that respect democracy, sustainability, and the rule of law. This matters for anyone who believes the future should be built on shared values and not brute force. At the plenary session of the 47th ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Prime Minister Mark Carney just delivered a wide-ranging speech positioning Canada as a values-driven, reliable partner to Southeast Asia. Marking his first official trip to Asia as Prime Minister, Carney emphasized Canada's shared commitment with ASEAN to sustainability, inclusivity, and multilateral cooperation. Amid global uncertainty and rising geopolitical tensions, he outlined Canada's plan to double non-U.S. exports, expand clean energy and defense capabilities, and accelerate trade negotiations, especially the Canada-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement, as part of a broader effort to reinforce stability through principled partnerships. We're going to get into all of this, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to like this video and subscribe, it really helps out a lot. All right, let's have a look at what was said.
I chose this summit and this visit to Malaysia as my first trip as Prime Minister to Asia for a reason. And that is, like ASEAN, Canada values sustainability and inclusivity in everything we do. And I felt as I walked in to the summit, as I said to His Excellency, that I felt at home seeing the symbolism here. We value a rules-based system. We respect trade agreements and the rule of law. We value the free exchange of goods, capital, and ideas. We're a natural partner. And as one of your earliest dialogue partners, we value ASEAN as the standard bearer of multilateralism.
So this is more than just diplomatic niceties. It's a statement of principle. In a region grappling with the gravitational pull of major powers like China and the US, Canada is choosing to stand firmly on the side of multilateralism, sustainability, and inclusion. Mark Carney's decision to make ASEAN his first stop underscores how deeply these values are embedded in Canada's strategic vision. It's also a nod to Canada's own domestic priorities. Canadians care about democratic governance and environmental protection. Aligning with ASEAN, which is a region of growing global influence, is a smart, values-driven move. Carney's tone here isn't just respectful, but it's more visionary. And crucially, I think it signals that Canada is not content to be a spectator in the Pacific century. Instead, Canada is actively shaping the norms of regional cooperation with principles, not pressure. In an age where trust is a geopolitical currency, this kind of leadership matters far more than ever. By the way, if you're interested in improving your critical thinking skills, the sign-up link for my upcoming book is in the description. Check it out. I'll be emailing people with a discount when it's out. If that's not your thing, but you also want to support this channel, you can check me out on Ko-fi. Let's move on to what Mr. Carney said next.
We're at an uncertain time in the world. There's a shift. We don't know the new system that's going to emerge. This is more of a rupture than a transition. It's a shift that's happening in a short period of time. Multilateralism giving way to transactional bilateral trade, a new era of great power rivalry, technological change, shrinking distance, and increasing the fields of conflicts, developments that all challenge the effectiveness of the institutions on which we as middle powers have long relied. It makes ASEAN more important than ever. And it underscores the importance of reliable partners who honor their commitments, who are there in tough times, and when things are not working, who work collaboratively to fix them.
So this is the emotional heart of Carney's message. He's naming the instability we all feel, economically, politically, and even existentially. But he's also pointing towards a solution, middle powers standing together to uphold what works. That includes Canada and, yes, the ASEAN countries. We can't afford to sit back and hope the world stabilizes. We need actual action. The beauty of Carney's approach is that it doesn't pit Canada against rising powers, and instead it builds strength through solidarity. It's pragmatic, hopeful, and rooted in a sense of responsibility. And let's be honest, this is Canada at its best, literally. Canada doesn't lead by coercion or volume, but it leads by example. The world needs countries that will show up with humility, consistency, and values. In that sense, Carney is doubling down on a quiet strength that's uniquely Canadian, not flashy, but super effective. There's also a subtle challenge embedded in his words. If the global order is cracking, who will help fix it? Canada is clearly raising its hand. And in a time where headlines often focus on division and decay, that kind of clarity is super refreshing. Let's have a look at another clip.
A few days ago, I announced our plan to double our non-U.S. exports over the course of the next decade. That's more than $300 billion in new trade, much of which we hope will be with this group. We think we can do that because we have much of what the world wants. We're an energy superpower in both clean and conventional. We expect within the next 5 years to produce and export 50 million tons of LNG every year to Asia, and to double that within 10 years from then. We have domestically an electricity grid that is 85% clean. We will expand that by 50% over the next decade, including with new forms of nuclear power, small modular reactors. We're one of the largest, blessed with one of the largest resources of critical minerals and rare earths, just like many around the table. And part of our partnership offer is to work with you on financing and developing that, including through what we formed a critical mineral alliance, which can provide a secure buyer for these resources so that you can develop them over time. In other words, to be part of the solution. With respect to defense, AI, cyber, just to give context, we are quadrupling our spending on defense in the next 5 years. Much of that will be in the realms of cyber security, artificial intelligence, and the interactions. This is an area where our cooperation is ideal. Let me conclude by just underscoring one thing with respect to trade. President Prabo, thank you. We concluded a historic trade agreement, our first bilateral free trade agreement with an ASEAN partner, with speed and with ambition. This reflects what we want to do as a government. We will bring the same commitment to bilateral discussions with any of you who are interested, but very importantly, and this is something I wanted to underscore, we would like to complete the negotiations of the Canada-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement over the course of next year's presidency.
Now, this is Canada's pivot, not away from old allies, but towards a broader, bolder future. Carney is crystal clear that Canada is showing up with clean energy, critical minerals, and deep respect. The commitment to complete the ASEAN-Canada Free Trade Agreement by next year shows that Canada is not just talking, it's actually delivering on its promises too. This is not the politics of decay or performative diplomacy. It's about building real mutual resilience, clean tech, cybersecurity, shared prosperity, AI. This is where Canada shines. As we look ahead, Canada's future will be shaped by how it engages with rising regions like Southeast Asia. And with Carney at the helm, there is every reason to be hopeful. His mix of pragmatism and principle could be just what the world needs right now. Now, where do you see Canada's place in the changing global order? Personally, I think that this is a pivotal moment. Canada has leaned heavily on its relationship with the U.S. for decades, economically, diplomatically, even culturally. But that foundation has shown some cracks. From trade disputes to political unpredictability, it's clear that Canada needs to diversify not just its exports, but its alliances and identity on the world stage. What's exciting and frankly a little overdue is that Canada is finally seeing leadership that recognizes this. By reaching out to ASEAN and framing Canada as a principled, solutions-focused partner, Mark Carney isn't just reacting to global change, he's shaping it. That really matters. It shows a willingness to invest in long-term stability, not just short-term conveniences. If Canada follows through on these promises, and I think that it will, with real trade deals, real energy partnerships, and real tech collaborations, we're actually looking at a far more resilient, more independent Canada. And that's the kind of leadership that Canadians need right now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are we on the right track? And if this kind of forward-thinking global perspective resonates with you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more smart takes on global shifts.